Hey guys, it's Coach Gaglione here, and this is another edition of our Gags Goals Update. It's our Road to 198 series. If this is your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione. This is GaglioneStrength. I have a gym in Long Island, New York, and I've been involved in strength coaching and powerlifting for the past 13 years. And this is kind of chronicling my weight loss journey. Over the past like two to 3 years, I've been working on getting my body weight down. I've been as heavy as 340 pounds, and at the time of this taping, I've been consistently weighing in under 230. So I've consistently kind of been down over 100 pounds. So things are going well, and I'm also trying to maintain strength. Lead example for our kind of team that we have here, and this is kind of chronicling my journey. So my next full power competition is projected for November. I'm looking to do Autumn Apocalypse in New Jersey. It's an RPS meet in Newark. Probably just going to be doing more like local stuff. If you watch some of our other stuff, I did slingshot record breakers. I did super training clash, like a push pull meet. So I was doing a little bit of traveling, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do that was just mainly to I realized in my 13 years of powerlifting, I never kind of actually got on a plane and competed, and I wanted to kind of understand like what some of my athletes were going through, especially some of the athletes that I work with that are going for all-time world records, or going for national rankings, or just competing at high-level money meets, or just national level meets. So I learned a lot from that, but for the time being, I'm just going to probably kind of stay local and just kind of work on some kind of bucket list goals for myself. And so most notably, I want to get a total, eventually a long-term goal. I'd like to hit a 10 times body weight total. It'll probably be the easiest to do that at either the 198 or 220 class. So plan on doing a full power meet in 198 class in November. Also, one of my kind of bucket list goals is to hit an 800-pound squat in 6 weight classes. So far, I've done it in 4. I've done 900 at super heavyweight. I've done 850. 850 as a light 308. I've done 805 in the 275 class. I've done 770 at 242. So I'm going to work on that. And then I've done 800 at 220. So eventually, I'd like to kind of hit 800 at 198. And also, I signed up for a squat-only contest this upcoming weekend in Connecticut, so I'm looking to kind of check that box off at 242, since I do plan on getting leaner, and I don't plan on competing in the 242 class anytime really in the near future. So I'm going to weigh in as a light 242, and then use that session also to practice. If you watched our last video, just practice getting in some new gears. I'm going to practice, use it as a training session in the Leviathan Ultra Pro, and see what I could do in that. Last week, successfully hit a 745 squat, and I did some reverse band work for 785 and 835 if you watched last week's episode. Moving on, I also tried the Ultra Pro for a deadlifting, and it was a decent session. It wasn't my best deadlift session, not my worst. I anticipated it to be a lot harder to get down to the bar, but it was actually pretty easy to get down to the bar. So we kind of just were playing with the strings, so I actually didn't really get much stopping power at all. It wasn't really getting much support at all in the initial sets, and we started to crank down tighter and tighter as we got as the weights went up, and I was able to crank down the straps as tight as possible. So I worked up to about 315. I worked up to 375 raw, and then we put the suit on. Then I did 465. I think it was with the collars. So I worked up to 465. First set in the suit, it basically felt raw. I was anticipating some pop out of the bottom. I was anticipating some resistance coming down, setting up. Did not happen. So then I went up to 505. We went a little bit smoother. We tightened things up a little bit. Got the straps a little bit tighter, but still didn't really feel like I was getting much support out of it. So then I worked up to 555, and it was smooth, but again, I didn't really feel like I was getting much support or pop out of the bottom. So at that point, my goal was to try to hit around 585 straight weight, but I just didn't really like how 555 moved. It was okay, but it wasn't great. For a last warm-up weight, I'd like that to move a lot faster. So we cranked things a little bit tighter, a little bit smoother pull. We did a reverse mini again, which is not too much help, but I wanted to get a little bit more support at the bottom and just kind of feel the weight. And then I went up to 615 with a reverse monster mini band, and that was pretty good. And my grip held up really well, so I was very happy about that. And that's the most weight I've had in my hands since my contest, which I successfully pulled 630 in the 220 class. So 615 reverse bands, not too shabby for being in the off season. So happy with that. I'm going to, next time, like I mentioned before, I was anticipating a lot more pop at the bottom. I was anticipating a lot more resistance coming down. So I'm going to put a brief underneath the suit and so that way I can maybe have a little bit more flexibility with the straps and tightening up the suit, especially as I plan on losing more weight. So going to experiment with that before the next training cycle, which will start in July. So I'll do that within the next couple of weeks. I'll kind of give that another go. And if not, then I'll probably end up maybe just staying with my jack briefs and jack suit combination, or maybe even stay with the metal canvas. I got to see. But I tend to like pulling, even though my all-time best deadlift is 700 pounds in the gym and 660 in the contest, and I've actually pulled both those in the canvas. I do feel my form is better in the poly suit, so we'll kind of see. I'm still kind of up in the air with what I'm going to pull in November, so I have some time to kind of figure that out. But I definitely like the Ultra Pro more for squatting than I did for deadlifting. I also felt the strings were kind of pulling into my quads a little bit. It felt kind of weird, so that was a little bit of a different sensation I wasn't ready for. So we're going to kind of see. But I think with the brief underneath the suit, that might kind of help that feeling a little bit too. So I'll have my legs protected from like kind of the strings as well. So we're going to expect, so stay tuned with that. But then after I did my suited work for the deadlift, I'm continuing to want to improve my conventional. Didn't really feel great, but I did hit this was the most I've done conventional this cycle. Hit 515 for 5. It was a very tough set. My form was not great, but nonetheless, working my conventional back up. So it was a very tough set. I'd like that weight to be a little bit easier, but 515 for 5 conventional. I did that raw. Still the most I've done this cycle in the off season, so happy about that. And then after that, one thing I have really been, my raw sumo work and my raw sumo block pulls has definitely been improving. I believe, what did we do? I think we did I want to say I did 435-ish, somewhere in that range. It was somewhere between 405 and 455. I can't remember exactly. You'll see in the video. I think we had so maybe had 2 quarters on there. So maybe it was like 425 to 435 in that range. It might have been 445 for the final set, but somewhere around that kind of mid 400 range. I did some comfortable block pulls with that. Positioning is getting better. Hip strength is getting a lot better. And then finish things up with some of the belt squat good morning with the spud harness, which is an exercise I really feel like has been helping my back strength, but keeping my spine also healthy. So it's not beating up my back, but it's also training my glutes, hamstrings, and spinal erectors. So I worked up to a PR on the belt squat good morning. I believe I did, I want to say I did 365. We count the frame as 45. I believe I did 365 for a set of 8 on that. So that was a good showing there. So that's improving. I feel like that's been helping my posterior chain strength quite a bit. So that concluded our deadlift workout of the day. That was a very stressful week because, like I said, I squatted in the suit. I did some heavy slingshot work, with chains, which you saw in the last video, and then I said I had the deadlift workout, and I did some bench accessory work. I worked up to some incline presses, which you won't see. That was done at the commercial gym, so you won't see any footage of that. Moving on, this is at the time of today is Subtotal Sunday, and it's also Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the strong dads out there. This will come out in a few days on Thursday, but I hope all the strong dads out there. So I had a good workout with Mom and Dad. We're going to go out to eat later, and we're going to get our post-workout meal in, which is exciting. He's doing really well. He's been belt squatting. Mom's been squatting with the barbell, and she's doing great. So they're both doing fantastic and losing weight and getting more fit and strong. So today, Subtotal Sunday, I'm just going to move up some of my training this week. And then from time to time, I do like to squat and bench on the same day just to kind of practice a little bit for the meet. I don't typically do this all the time. I do prefer an upper-lower split, just a little bit easier for my schedule, logistically and just for recovery purposes. But as far as from a specificity standpoint, I do think doing some heavy squatting and heavy benching on the same day can be beneficial. And it kind of, it could kind of give you a little bit better of an idea what you can expect for a game day. But that being said, I'm only doing it because I want to have a couple of days. I'm not doing a complete deload. This is the week of my contests, my squat-only contest. So I plan on just moving things up a day just so I have 1 or 2 days of complete rest going into the meet. Because I would like to have a good showing, even though I'm not tapering, I'm not peaking or anything like that. I still want to have a good showing and perform well. And I'm going to be driving and weighing in Friday, so I'm not going to have time to do my second bench workout on Friday, just logistically. So I'm just going to move everything up a day. That way I can get all my work in. I still plan on deadlifting this week. We'll probably do some speed work, some bench accessories, and go from there. So today, worked up to, I wanted to work up to a weight that was around 700 pounds because that would be kind of around a last warm-up kind of weight, something in the high 600s. So what we did was Thompson style squat, coined from Donnie Thompson's. We did a Thompson style box squat today. And typically you'll work up to a certain straight weight. Usually it could be like 80%. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how you want to work it. But the goal is to try to get around 5 sets of 2, and working up progressively in weight each set. So I worked up to 415, starting out with 2 chains per side. So it was 415 on the box squat. And I just used the Gateway briefs from Spud, another great product. So it doesn't really give you too much help. It's not like it's more of like kind of, it's not even single ply. It's kind of like a squishier kind of material. So you will get something out of it, but the Gateway briefs allow you to go a little bit wider, so it'll be more specific to your competition stance if you're a single ply or multi-ply lifter. So it's a great training tool. I really like the Gateway briefs. I commonly use those from time to time as well if I'm trying to go a little bit wider and train a little bit more specific. And since I'm competing this weekend, I just want to go a little bit wider than my typical raw stance. So I did some box squats. I started again with 415, 80 pounds of chain. And then the goal of the workout today, again, was just to use all our chains. So we have I worked up to 7 chains per side. So again, I did 415 with 80 pounds of chain, and then for a double, and then I did doubles all the way up. So then I did 415 and 120 pounds of chain, and 160 pounds of chain, then 200 pounds of chain, and 240 pounds of chain. And the final set was 280 pounds of chain plus 415 for a double. I was pretty happy. So that's about 695 or so at the top. We made sure that it was like a full kind of chain unload and deload the best we could. And I was very happy with that, especially doing that without any wraps or anything like that. And yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. It moved well. And it felt pretty good on my back, so I think I'll be ready for 800 this weekend. After that, I started to bench, and then, to my surprise, things have been going well. So things have been progressing with my shoulder. If you've been following along with the series, I did suffer a little bit of like an overuse. It wasn't anything acute, but it was a kind of a chronic kind of shoulder issue I've been having. And it's been getting better and better each week, so I'm very happy. The day of my last contest, I wasn't even able to bench like 230 raw. So I'm really happy to be back. Today I hit like a post kind of injury PR of 275, so I'm happy about that. And everything is kind of moving along. I'm still getting some compensation at the heavier weights, but it's getting higher and higher. Then I kind of worked up in my slingshot a little bit. I did a set at 315. I actually missed 365 in the Mad Dog slingshot. The seams keep popping on that, so I don't know what's going on, but it's not actually really giving. So I have to figure out. I might like email Smokey or something, little Smokey or something, but. I feel like my red slingshot is giving me more support than my Mad Dog slingshot. So I usually use the Mad Dog slingshot and the red slingshot in combination to warm up before I get in my bench shirt. But for some reason, it doesn't really feel like it's helping me as much as the red one. So I'm not really sure what's going on. It might have just been like a defective product. And like I said, nothing against. Could have just been like an issue with that one. But I feel like it's a little bit looser, and it's not giving me. I feel like it's giving me less support than the red original slingshot. So. Sure, this is probably something, so I don't know. It could be in my head, I'm not really sure, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. And like I said, I think some of the seams pop, so it's not really giving me the same support. So I might, one of the things I will be experimenting with in the future is, I want to say it's Rich Putnam, I think, the Gorilla Pack, his bench freak band. So I ordered one of those. I got turned on by that by Bench and Benny, our head coach here. And that's going to mimic a little bit more of the bench shirt groove, and I think it's going to be a good tool that I'm going to use. I still will use the slingshot, and we will still use the slingshot for our raw lifters. But one thing I realized that the slingshot, it doesn't necessarily kind of match exactly the groove of the bench shirt or make you kind of spread as much. So for me, I need to get more practice, a little bit more specific. Bench is definitely like my weak point in my total. So I want to kind of do everything I can to kind of build that up. So I think the bench freak band will be a good kind of tool in my toolbox. So I'll kind of also give you some updates on that. But I like even just kind of working on spreading with my lats and rear delts just without any weight. I think it was a good practice. So anyway, I'll give you some more. So I'm still going to be using the slingshot in my training, but I'm going to add in the bench freak band as well. So anyway, after that, I put on. I'm testing out some different shirts right now. Like I said, I tested out the Ultra Pro squat suit, so I tested out actually a single ply Rage X. I actually tried this shirt out when I was about 20 pounds heavier in January, and I could not get anything to touch in it. I was too fat from Mama's delicious rainbow Christmas cookies. So I waited till I was lighter, and now I was able to get in it no problem. 365, I really couldn't really get down. I barely got down to a 2 board, so that was a little bit too light. So then I went 395 and we went okay. And then actually 405 was the best set. It went up really smooth. So I think I just need to start with at least 4 plates and just a little bit more weight. So it's a pretty tight chest plate, but like I said, it's single ply. I feel like it's just really, really uncomfortable and tight for the amount of pop I'm getting from it. But it could be good. I'm not sure. I'm gonna give it a shot and get a couple more sessions in it before I kind of decide which bench strength I'm gonna use. But I'm willing to try a couple things. I plan on seeing my buddy Chris Delafave very soon. He's one of the top 242 lifters in the world, one of the top multiply lifters in the world. So I'm gonna get some tips from him. And he's like he's a big 242, but I know he's competed in other weight classes. So I'm gonna see if he has anything that's too tight for him that might fit myself. So we've been kind of helping each other out. And kind of plan. And again, I really respect his advice. He's a world-class lifter. So I'm gonna kind of get some tips from him and see if he's any equipment that could fit me. So 405 went really smooth. I wanted to kind of also see how I have a very, very loose phenom that I actually, when I was super heavyweight, I hit 575 in that shirt and over in 600 to boards in training. So that's obviously very, very loose on me. So I just wanted to see like how it would feel. I tried 405 to the 2 board as well, and that just did not go up. It was close, but I couldn't quite lock up my left arm. So that'll probably be a training shirt I'll use if I want to just get reps to like high boards with like a lighter weight. I know that's something Benny likes, so it's probably something I'll implement at some point just for to get some more volume in, or I'll use the Freak Band. But that shirt is not going to be definitely something I use in the contest. So I still have the red phenom. I'm going to get back from Chris Delafave. I let him try it. Didn't really work for him. Didn't really fit him the way he wanted. So I have my red phenom, which I've been using with great success before my shoulder issue. And I'm going to continue to work with the Rage X and see how that works. After that, I did some reverse grip benching, hit a PR, 230 for 5, and then I did 2 more sets of 5 with 225. Then I did some belt squatting. Again, I forgot that I took my knee sleeves off already. My knees were a little bit achy from those heavy squats before. So I did a warm-up set with 405, and then I just did a little bit of a strip set. I did 455 for 8, 405 for 8, just with a loose slingshot knee wrap. And then I did 315 for 8, and that was all she wrote. I tapped out after that. I was tired. So going to get some post-workout meal with my mom and dad for Father's Day now. And then, well, if you want, wish me luck. If you want to, shoot us you shoot me a DM or something on Instagram if you want to wish me luck on my quest to getting a 5th 800-pound squat in the 5th weight class. That'd be awesome. I'll give you some recap about how the meet goes. Bench and Benny will be going for a raw bench PR, and I will be going fully equipped. So I'm excited for that. It's just gonna be a fun thing. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. I do think that more lifters, especially if you're new to powerlifting gear, if you're like wanting to transition into multiply, I think doing like a bench only meet or a deadlift only meet, I think is a really good idea. That's how I did my first multiply meet, was just bench only. Just to practice, it's just you can work on one lift at a time. And if you're an advanced lifter, I think sometimes it's working on like your weak lift, or it could be a strong lift, but just like, sometimes doing a push-pull or a single lift meet, I think is a good transition point. It's a little lower pressure. You don't need to take it like out quite as serious, but you can still kind of work on your weak points and working on different things. So I think more people can benefit from doing like single lift competitions from time to time. Plus you still get that platform practice without having to beat yourself up through like a full training cycle that you would need to get ready for a full meet. So if you're a more advanced lifter, or if you're a lifter that's maybe transitioning from raw to equipped, do some single lift meets from time to time. If you normally compete 2 to 3 times a year, if you do like a single lift contest or like a push-pull, you can kind of increase your competition frequency to maybe 3, 4, even 5 times if you kind of plan it right. But it'll give you a little more platform experience, especially something like a bench only meet. You could really, I think you can compete in the bench press a little bit more frequently without as much consequence. Not to say you want to compete like every weekend like some people do, but yeah, it's definitely a strategy, especially if you are someone that kind of gets a little stage fright and it has problems competing like on a platform, and you don't have like the skill of competing. Like I said, or if you're just transitioning into equipped lifting, I think the single lift meets are good. And it's just like, again, a lower pressure, more fun kind of thing. You don't need to put so much pressure on yourself. You can kind of swing for the fences a little bit more since you're not going for a total. You can kind of just go for like a single lift PR. And I think that's a really cool thing. And then if you hit a PR in a single lift meet, then you could eventually try to match that in a full meet, and that's a good way to kind of progress if you kind of have like a certain milestone you're trying for, or anything like that. So anyways, I'm talking too much. I promise I'll get better with the vlogs. I'm just kind of getting started up again, and I'm very tired. Subtotal Sunday is no joke. Heavy squats and heavy bench in the same day is not for the faint of heart. I admire all the USAPL lifters that just bench, squat, and deadlift every single day, have that high frequency, because I certainly, with my kind of body and schedule, I could not keep up with some of those young, amazing junior lifters that do the high frequency stuff. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Thank you guys for following me on my road to 198. I appreciate you following along. If you want to get more content, please subscribe. If you want to support the program, check out the links below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.